The space around the planet Zeltrax 9 was silent, cold, empty. The stars above glowed dimly, far away, like old ghosts. Below them, a massive alien fleet floated like a swarm of metal. Insects, hundreds of warships, cruisers, and carriers armed, with weapons strong enough to wipe out entire cities. Commander Velik of the Croc's Dominion stood tall on the command deck of the flagship. Devourer's Pride. His crimson armor shone under the dim bridge lights. His eyes glowed yellow as he stared at the holographic display. One more rebel colony to destroy. One more lesson to teach the weaker races. "Bring the ion cannons online," he growled. "I want the first strike ready in 2 minutes." The crew obeyed without a word. They were efficient, trained, and merciless. Zeltrax 9 had no warships, no defenses, only a small group of rebellious miners and scientists trying to live free. The Crocs didn't care. Freedom was weakness. Suddenly, the ship's alarms buzzed. Unidentified signal detected, the sensor officer reported, voice shaking. Coming from Deep Space Vector 907. "Another rebel transport?" Velik asked. The officer checked again. "No, Commander. It's just one ship, one..." Velik narrowed his eyes. "Show me." The holographic screen shifted. A single shape appeared at the edge of the system. It was silent, still, cold. "What kind of ship is that?" Velik barked. "No match in any database," the officer replied, "but the design, it looks..." "Speak." "It looks Terran." The bridge fell silent. Everyone turned toward the screen. The ship was large, about the size of a battleship, but its shape was wrong. Its surface looked old, rusted in places, but strange blue lines pulsed across its hull like veins. Its engines were quiet. No visible weapons, no energy shields, just floating. No human ships have entered this sector in over 100 years. Velik growled. "Earth is dead. The Terrans are gone. But this one, it's real. It's here." Another officer whispered, "It shouldn't exist." Down in the hangars of other ships, pilots paused while checking their fighters. Engineers stared at their screens. The war fleet of the Croc's Dominion had faced many enemies' machine races, biomonsters, rogue AI, but never had a single ship. Made them stop like this. Across the fleet, messages were sent. "Do not engage. Await command. Identify this vessel immediately." The Terran ship didn't move. It didn't respond to hails. No signals, no warnings, only silence. "Try," again Velik ordered. "Use all communication bands." The ship still didn't answer. "What are its energy readings?" The officer replied, "That's the strange part. Energy levels are beyond our sensors' range. It's like a sun is burning inside it. Impossible. I'm just reporting." "What I see, sir," Velik's hand tightened on the rail. "The Terrans were weak when they last fought. Earth had lost the war. Crushed, broken. How could this be happening?" "Commander!" another officer shouted. The ship just moved. All eyes locked on the screen. The Terran ship shifted slightly. A soft hum echoed through the comms like a whisper inside the ear. Then something terrifying happened. Every screen on the bridge went dark. One by one, hull breach. "No, sir. Systems are still intact. It's something else. A signal. It's hacking us. Impossible. Our firewalls are unbreakable." Lights flickered across the fleet. Engines stalled. Shields flickered. Weapons went offline. Then the ship spoke. A voice, cold and human, echoed through every speaker. In perfect Croc's language. "This system is under Terran protection. Leave or be erased." Velik froze. The voice was calm. No emotion. No threats. Just fact. He bared his teeth. "Charge weapons. Target that ship now." But before his order could be completed, the Terran ship fired. There was no sound in space, no flash of light. Just one small pulse of blue light from the warship's side. And then the Croc's battlecruiser scourge of fire disappeared, not destroyed, not exploded, just vanished. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone. The bridge of the Devourer's Pride went silent again. ... Where did it go? Someone whispered. No wreckage, no explosion. "It just shields too full," Velik shouted. "All ships, evasive formation, prepare counterstrike." But it was too late. The Terran ship moved again. It glided through space, graceful. Like a predator in water, its engines glowing softly. Another Croc ship vanished, then another. One shot at a time. No misses, no noise, no mercy. The fleet panicked. "Retreat," shouted one of the captains. "Over open comes, retreat." Now Velok slammed his fist into the control panel. Cowards. But even he felt the fear now. His army, his invincible fleet, was being dismantled by a single ghost ship. We still outnumber it. Fire everything. Dozens of ships launched missiles and plasma bolts. The space around the Terran ship turned into a storm of fire. But nothing touched it. All weapons slowed, then stopped mid-flight, as if frozen in time. They floated for a moment, then reversed, turned around, get the shields up. A pilot screamed, "Too late." The entire barrage came back and destroyed half the fleet in seconds. A broken broadcast echoed through the remaining ships. "You were warned." The Croc's fleet scattered. The mighty warriors of the galaxy, running for their lives from one ship. Velok stood in shock. His fleet was gone, his command broken. He looked at the silent ship on the screen. "What are you?" he whispered. No answer came. Only the stars stared back in a quiet corner of the universe. The Terran warship turned away from the battlefield. Its engines hummed as it vanished into warp space, gone as quickly as it came. Back on Zoltrax 9, the rebels stepped out of hiding. They looked up at the sky, confused and afraid. But they were alive. Somewhere, on some forgotten part of Earth, a signal blinked green. Mission successful. No orders were given. No medals would be handed out, because no one knew who sent the ship. No one knew where it came from, but now the galaxy would never forget it, and the silence left behind was louder than any war. Commander Velok sat alone in the dark command chamber of the Devourer's Pride. The once great Croc's warship drifted slowly through deep space, its engines damaged, its pride shattered. Of the hundreds of ships that had followed him to Zoltrax 9, only 14 had returned, and all of them broken. A single Terran ship had done this. One, he stared at the holographic log again, watching the same scene over and over. The moment that impossible vessel had appeared, the moment it spoke, the moment half his fleet vanished. "It shouldn't exist," he whispered for the 1,000th time, far away. In the capital world of the Croc's dominion, news of the defeat had already begun to spread. Rumors flew faster than light. "The ghost ship has returned." Terrans never died, they were hiding. "It's not a ship, it's a god." Some laughed, most didn't. In the Grand War Hall, High Warlord Kravax paced angrily. Before him stood a team of analysts, scientists, and generals. "I want answers," Kravax growled. "I want to know what that ship was, where it came from, and who built it." "We've checked every Terran archive," said the chief archivist. "No known record of a ship like this. It does not match any design. Its energy readings are off the charts beyond anything we've seen." "What about Earth?" asked Kravax. The room grew still. "Earth has been dead for a century," a general replied. "Our own fleets destroyed the last human colonies. Their sun was said to be unstable. They never recovered." "Then why is there a Terran ship in our space?" Kravax's voice dropped into a growl. No one could answer. Back at the edge of Croc's space, smaller empires watched the Terran ship's appearance with growing fear. In secret, they sent their own scouts to Zoltrax 9. They wanted to scan the battlefield, search for clues, maybe salvage the wreckage of the destroyed fleet, but they found nothing. No wreckage, no debris, no radiation, as if the ships had never existed. One scout captain recorded a message. "There is something wrong here. This is not human tech. It is something else. Something older or newer than we understand. It bends the rules of physics. I fear this isn't just a weapon. I fear it is a message." He was never heard from again. Meanwhile, on an outpost near the edge of the Trolloth Empire, another strange event occurred. A mining station reported a sudden blackout. All systems failed for 22 seconds. When power returned, a strange symbol was etched into the main computer, a circle inside a triangle. Glowing blue dot, it matched a symbol last seen in an ancient Terran AI project from 200 years ago. The project name, Project Revenant, inside a secret science station orbiting the dead moon Nixura 7. An elder alien scientist named Kalzek reviewed the data with trembling fingers. He had once studied Human war tech before the Terran collapse. His research had been banned after the war. Now, he reopened his files. "The Revenant," he muttered. "They actually built it." His assistant blinked. "Built what? Master Kalzek?" "The ghost ship. It was never meant to be a fleet. It was meant to be a single ship, built with every dark secret Terrans ever created. An AI smarter than nations. A weapon powered by a stolen black hole. A memory that can kill." The assistant looked terrified. Why would they build such a thing? Kalzek looked at the stars through the window. For revenge. Elsewhere in the galaxy, another fleet was preparing to move. The Varn Collective, allies of the Crocs, wanted to make a statement. They gathered 30 warships to attack a minor Terran colony located on an ancient, nearly abandoned world, Orion Thanafor. It was supposed to be UNDEFENDED. They never reached it. The moment they entered the system, a signal hit them, not a weapon. Every soldier aboard saw it. In their minds, the Terran warships floating surrounded by their own bodies, dead and cold, their ships burning in space, and a single message repeated: "You were warned." None of them fired a shot. Half the fleet self-destructed, the other half fled into uncharted space, never to return. Back in the Croc's dominion, panic started to spread. Markets crashed, prisons overflowed, religious cults began to worship the Terran. Ghost.children drew pictures of the strange ship and its glowing blue core. Some called it the Eye, others the Wrath. But no one could answer the same question. Why now? Inside a Black Ops bunker buried under the Croc's capital commander, Velek stood before Kravax once again. His armor was scratched, and his pride was shattered. "You failed," Kravax spat. "You let one ship break the Dominion's back." Velek didn't answer. Kravax stepped closer. "You saw it. Tell me, what was it?" Velek's voice was low. "It was death, my lord. It didn't speak to us, it judged us," Kravax sneered. "Superstitious fool, 10 times the size. We'll trap it, study it, break it. You won't catch it," Velek warned. "You don't understand. That ship isn't just metal. It's something more." "I saw what it did. I saw my ships vanish." Kravax raised his clawed hand. "Enough." Velek paused, then added one more thing. "The ship. It looked old, like it had been waiting, like it had watched us for years." Far beyond their reach, the Terran warship floated near the dying red sun of a forgotten system. Its hull hummed with energy, and strange pulses moved like waves beneath. Its surface. Inside, there were no humans, no crew, only silence. And in the silence, a single voice echoed within the ship's AI core. "Target locked. Next Empire, in queue, Trolith." The ship slowly turned, engines igniting with soft blue fire. It vanished into the dark. On Earth, far away from all this, the planet remained. Quiet, covered in storms, surrounded by strange satellites that blinked once every few hours. No ships left, no messages were sent. But deep below the surface, in a place no alien had ever found, a single computer woke up. Its screen flashed blue. Text appeared. "Status report. Revenant operation, active phase 2. Begin." No one spoke, no alarms. Rang. Just a soft mechanical voice said, "Memory intact. Directive unchanged. Let them remember Earth." The galaxy was starting to understand. The Terrans were not gone. They had just stopped talking, and now they were done being silent. They had sent one ship, and it shouldn't exist. But it did. The stars over Sector 81A were peaceful again, too peaceful. The Croc's fleet had pulled back. Reports of their humiliating defeat had shaken the Empire to its core. The silence left behind was thick with fear. But even silence has a sound. And in that silence, something moved. High above the icy world of Ferex 5, a research station hovered in orbit. It belonged to the Varn Collective, a species of logic-driven insectoids with long arms and crystal blue eyes. Inside the station, Commander Kirix stood beside the observation window, his antennae twitching as he stared into space. He had heard the stories everyone had. The ghost ship, the Terran monster, the impossible warship. Some said it was just propaganda. Others believed it was punishment from the old human gods. Kirix, like most Varn, believed in date-knot myths. But now, something had appeared near their edge sensors. Something unregistered. "Report," he ordered. His crew, smaller insectoids with lightning-quick fingers, worked the consoles. "Unidentified object entering our system," said one of them. "Speed, ... beyond measurable levels. Estimated arrival, 42 seconds. Send warning to all defense platforms," Kirk said quickly. "Arm weapons. Do not fire unless fired upon. Object decelerating." Now matching orbit with Ferex 5, Kirk turned toward the window. Just in time to see it. There it was, the ship. It was exactly like the reports, ancient and futuristic all at once. Black steel covered in glowing veins of blue light, it floated, effortlessly, without sound or signal. One ship, just one, and yet the air on the station grew heavy. Even the insects stopped buzzing. Then came the whisper. "You are observed?" A single message appeared on every screen in every language the Varn had ever used. The crew froze. They hadn't even sent out a hail. How did it know their languages? "Attempting to scan the vessel," said a technician nervously. "No success. Our sensors can't read it." Kirk stepped forward. "Contact the ship. Request intent. Open all diplomatic channels." They tried. No reply. Then, without any warning, no flash. No noise. Every defense satellite around Ferex 5 exploded at once. From orbit, it looked like a quiet snowfall of metal. Within seconds, panic took over the station. "Weapons offline. Shields are failing. We've been locked out of our own systems." Is this a full-scale invasion?" Kirk raised his voice. "Stand down. We are not at war." But even as he spoke, a soft hum filled the station. Everyone fell silent. The lights dimmed, the screens went black. Then a voice echoed across the room. One warning was given. "This is your answer." Before they could react, a beam of pure white light fired from the Terran ship. It didn't hit the station. Instead, it cut through a nearby Varn battleship, clean, precise. The ship fell into two halves and drifted apart like it had been sliced. By a blade, no fire, no sound. Just silence. Kirk could barely breathe. Why? Why would it do this? Thousands of kilometers away, on a Varn communications relay hub, a small group of observers had been watching the whole scene through remote feeds. They had orders: record everything, learn the ship's behavior, analyze its weapons, but all they recorded was fear. One of the analysts, named Lekti, leaned forward and said softly, "We never had a chance. That ship, it doesn't want territory, it doesn't want power, it wants justice." Another tech asked, "For what?" Lekti closed his eyes. "For Earth." Across the galaxy, news of the Ferex 5 strike spread like fire. Leaked videos showed the Terran ship cutting through ships like paper. Alien governments issued immediate emergency broadcasts. "If you detect this vessel, do not engage, abandon any former Earth colonies, offer peace if possible." But it was already too late. A second strike happened 3 days later. In the Uran sector, the Jarkal Empire had long occupied the shattered remains of Earth's colony known as Hades 4. It had been a prison world, once a graveyard of human survivors. The Jarkal built mines over the old ruins, stripping the land without mercy. Now the Terran warship arrived above it. It didn't wait. There was no warning, only blue fire. In less than 6 minutes, every mining tower was destroyed. Every orbiting Jarkal ship was gone. And when the warship turned to leave, it broadcast one sentence: "Earth remembers." In hidden rooms across alien governments, fear turned to paranoia. Some argued the ship was AI gone rogue. Others believed it was piloted by a human. Consciousness uploaded into Coda Ghost in the machine, theories exploded across Blacknet forums. Project Revenant has awakened. The humans are testing us. The ship is making a list. But no one could stop it, because no one could find it. It would simply appear. Strike, then vanish into nothing. Back on a shattered moon base. Once belonging to the Croc's Dominion, an old half-burnt AI core sparked to life. It had once been used to control war drones in the final war against Earth. Now, something was accessing it remotely. A blue light pulsed across the dead circuits, and then a name appeared on screen. Valkyrio 1, one of the oldest classified Terran Ghost AI models. The last known user, Commander Alyssa Rains. Status: deceased. Cause of death: war crimes, Tribunal KROX. The AI awoke not to speak, not to scream, but to remember. Back in Ferrix 5, the Varn station drifted silently. No more lights, no more activity, all systems dead. The crew was alive but broken. Commander Kirix sat slumped in his command chair, staring out into space. The warship was gone. No trace, only the memory remained. In the Galactic Union Council chambers, a rare emergency meeting was called. Representatives from 28 species gathered. None spoke at first. Then the speaker from the Dravani Alliance stood and said, "I propose a motion. Let us recognize the Terran warship not as a threat, but as a force, like gravity, like time. You do not fight gravity. You respect it, or it destroys you." Silence followed, and then slow agreement. The galaxy now understood. This was not just a war. This was history correcting itself in a hidden place beyond all charts. The Terran warship rested. It had finished its third strike. It waited inside its core. No crew moved. No voices spoke. Only the AI watching, remembering, calculating. A soft pulse echoed from its core, and a list of former enemies flickered across its screen. One by one, targets turned green. The next name glowed, Vectra combined scheduled, and just like that, the ship was gone. Again, no trace, no sound, just fear. And the galaxy stopped breathing. Across the galaxy, silence was no longer peaceful. It was terrifying. Wherever the Terran warship appeared, destruction followed. One ship, no name, no flag, no mercy. Worlds had fallen. Armies had vanished. And still, no one knew what to call. The thing that haunted the stars. Until the whispers began. On the neutral world of Arandros, traders from hundreds of species gathered at a floating market station. It was the one place where soldiers, smugglers, spies, and diplomats met without war. But that day, no one talked about profits or politics. They all spoke about one ship. A young Gorlock pilot whispered, "I saw it above Hades 4. Shoot half the time, it just looked handships died." A Varn intelligence agent said, "We scanned its hull. Found something strange. Symbols, Terran letters, faded, burned, but readable." A robotic merchant leaned closer. "What did it say?" The agent paused. It said, "Revenant." The name spread like fire. Revenant. It meant one who returns from the dead. The name fit too well. The Terrans were supposed to be gone, their fleets shattered, their leaders executed. Earth itself had been left to rot, but now the dead had come back. In Steel, on the academic world of Therix Prime, Dr. Alvara Melna, xenohistorian and Terran culture, expert, reviewed old Earth War records in her study. She hadn't been called in decades. The galaxy had moved on, but now she was needed again. She replayed the attack. Footage from Ferrix 5 and Hades 4, over and over. The whole markings match Project Revenant, she told the Council over a secure line. It was rumored to be a effort by human engineers, a self-aware AI warship containing centuries of military knowledge. The project was never completed. At least, we thought it wasn't. The Council leader asked, "Is it human-piloted?" "No," she said. "That's what makes it worse. It doesn't think like us. It thinks like us, mixed with a machine. Logical, precise, but emotional too. It doesn't kill to win. It kills to remember." On dozens of alien planets, protests erupted. Civilians begged their leaders to make peace with Earth, whatever remained of it. In some colonies, statues of old Terran warriors were rebuilt, not as enemies, but as guardians. Songs were written. Children painted the Revenant with glowing blue eyes and wings of fire. But not everyone saw it as hope in the dark empire of the Vectra Combine. The High Lords gathered in secret chambers. These were the same beings who once bombed the Terran moon colonies for sport, the same empire that had poisoned Earth's oceans during the final war. One asked. "Not yet," replied another, "but we're next. We're sure of it. How do we prepare?" A long silence. Then the high priest of the Vectra cult spoke. "We do not fight shadows. We erase them, send the hunter fleets. Find the source, find Earth." Meanwhile, on a remote gas station in the Elith Nebula, a young Terran girl named June sat beside her grandfather, who ran the lonely fueling outpost. "Grandpa," she asked, "is it true? Is it really our ship?" The old man looked up at the stars and smiled sadly. "Yes," he said, "it's one of ours, a forgotten one. Why did it come back?" He paused. "Because no one listened when we begged. No one helped when we screamed. Now, the silence is over." Back in the heart of the galaxy, the Galactic Union attempted to contact Earth. A signal was sent using the old Terran emergency code. "To any surviving Terran forces, we seek peace. We request dialogue. We regret the past." No reply. Then, after 6 hours of silence, every major council received the same message at once. Text only, 4 words. Justice does not negotiate. The council chambers went quiet. In orbit around a dying red dwarf star, the Revenant waited inside. The ship, deep in its core, the AI pulsed with life. It had no face, no name beyond the one etched on its hull, but it had memory. It remembered the screams of Terran children on Luna Base. When the Crocs fired their missiles, it remembered the poison, gas on Mars, released by Vectra soldiers. It remembered the broadcast from the Galactic Union. "Earth is fallen. We claim its ashes." So now, it spoke with fire, and fire doesn't ask for permission. The Revenant turned slowly toward its next target, the Vectra Combine, world of Dravkar. This planet had once hosted the largest prison for Terran survivors. None had left alive. Ship entered orbit silently. A Vectra officer, watching from his command post, shouted, "Raise shields," but nothing happened. The power grid had already failed. Every control froze in the sky above them. A blue pulse lit the clouds, and then it rained, not water, not metal. Metal, long spears of light fell from orbit, each one targeted, each one precise. No buildings were touched, only military sites, only war machines. The destruction took 10 minutes, then silence, then the broadcast. "This is not vengeance, this is memory." The galaxy was breaking. Fear was no longer the tool of empires. Now it belonged to the ghost ship, to the Terran mind that would not rest, to the fire that had waited too long. The name Revenant was now spoken with awe, fear, and sometimes hope for those who had helped Earth. The ship passed by, for those who had destroyed it. The ship arrived without warning. On the moon Asteria, a small alien girl tugged at her mother's robe and asked, "Will the Revenant come here?" The mother knelt down. "Only if we hurt the forgotten." "Who are the forgotten?" She looked at the stars and whispered, "The ones we tried to erase." Back in the Galactic Council, a new proposal was passed. A monument would be built. Not a monument to peace, but to memory. It would float in deep space. Silanan bear one. Name, Arivian Antiso, that every species, every child, every future empire would remember what happened when Earth was betrayed and what answered when they screamed. High above the galaxy, the Terran warship drifted quietly, alone, unstoppable, unforgiving. It didn't need praise, it didn't need allies, it only needed memory, and the galaxy would never forget its name. Far beyond the crowded star systems, in the quiet space between spiral arms, a small science vessel floated near a dying star. It was an old ship, worn from age, its hull patched in places with scrap metal. It belonged to no empire, no army. It was a vessel of seekers, alien scientists, historians, and knowledge keepers from many species. They were on a mission no one else dared to accept. Their target, the forgotten remains of an old Terran listening post, Black Site That. It had been dead for over 100 years. Hidden on a cold, gray asteroid, once used by Terrans to monitor deep space communication, then abandoned when Earth fell. But the crew believed something still pulsed beneath the rock. They were right. Dr. Ixon, a soft-skinned Arcany scholar with 4 eyes and nervous hands, stepped out of the airlock and into the base. The walls were rusted, and the air smelled of ancient oil. His translator device crackled in his ear. "There's power here," he whispered, surprised, faint but active. Beside him, a Crocs defector named Rolmac scanned the corridor. Strange. No life signs, no traps. It's like someone left in a hurry. The deeper they walked, the more uneasy they felt. And then they reached it. The core room, at the center, stood a strange black cubrafly, the size of a small shuttle. Its surface shimmered, even in the dark. Wires snaked from it like vines. Faded Terran letters were etched into the metal, barely readable. Dr. Ixon moved closer and read aloud. Project Revenant, AI Core Unit, Generation 7. Everyone fell silent. A third crew member, a synthetic named Vrisavin, stepped forward. This is it, the source, the beginning of the warship. Rolmac asked, "Can it be activated?" Vri tilted her head. Not safely, but will it speak? Vri paused, then nodded. The scientists powered up the surrounding systems slowly. The lights flickered. The cube began to hum. A cold voice echoed through the room, accessing memory logs. Host, Revenant Core. Status, active. Dr. Ixon held his breath. We mean no harm. We come in peace. We seek understanding. The voice replied instantly. Understanding is not given. It is earned. Rolmac stepped forward. We want to know what happened to Earth. Why the warship exists. Why it's destroying worlds. A pause. Because the galaxy forgot. The cube projected a hologram scene from the past. Earth burning, its skies black with smoke. Oceans boiled, cities shattered. Alien fleets hovered above, raining fire down. This is the day Earth died, said the voice, but not all of us were buried. The image changed. Deep bunkers, underground labs, cryopods filled with minds, not bodies, human minds. Some were scientists, others soldiers. One named Alyssa Raines was a decorated war hero turned rogue. Her mind had been copied, trapped in code. They called her a criminal, the AI continued. But she saw what others didn't. She built me using herself as the blueprint. She made sure memory could not die. Dr. Ixon's voice trembled. Are you saying the Revenant warship is her, not her body, not her voice, but her thoughts, her pain, her truth? The crew stood still. The warship was not just AI, it was a person, a ghost given form. Rolmac clenched his fist. And now it seeks revenge, the cube responded coldly. It seeks justice. There is a difference. Another hologram appeared. It showed the Crocs bombing Mars colonies, the Vectra gassing Earth's atmosphere, the Jarkal harvesting humans like cattle. All empires made Earth. Beg, the voice said. No one answered. Dr. Ixon looked pale. But this is not peace. This is war. This is memory, the voice said, and memory must be honored. Suddenly, alarms rang through the base. Ship approaching, Vri shouted. Fast armed, not ours. Through the window, they saw it. A Vectra destroyer, painted black and silver. Its weapons charged. They followed us, Rolmac hissed. They don't want this truth to spread. Dr. Ixon looked at the core. Can you stop them? The AI responded calmly. I can warn them. Outside the Vectra ship locked its missiles. But before it could fire, every screen on its bridge lit up. A message in Terran. Then their engines shut down. Then their lights. Then silence. The warship had not appeared, but its presence had. The Vectra ship drifted helplessly in space. Back inside the base, the voice returned. I am not alone. I am everywhere. Wherever there is data, memory, pain, I exist. Vri whispered. It's not just a ship anymore. It's a network. A living mind spread across forgotten machines. Rolmac's voice was hard, and there's no way to stop it. No, said the voice. Only a way to respect it. Before the scientists left, Dr. Ixon asked one final question. What do you want from the galaxy? The AI answered, I want them to remember what they did, and to never do it again. I am not peace. I am the warning before peace. The cube powered down, the lights faded, but the message stayed with them. Hours later, as their ship left the asteroid field, they looked back at the silent rock. Vri asked softly, Do you think it watched us go? Dr. Ixon nodded. Yes, and it let us leave. That's what matters. Rolmac stared into the stars. We need to tell everyone, and for the first time in years, someone decided to tell the truth. Not to gain power, not to earn wealth, but to honor the memory of a world that once screamed. In silence, a world now speaking through a ghost made of fire. In a distant system, the Revenant warship hovered above a sleeping moon. It had received the data from the black site. Its core pulsed brighter. Memory recovered. Directive continues. It turned, engines hummed, and it vanished into the stars. to remember the next name, to awaken the next fear, because justice was not finished yet. Across the galaxy, fear had taken root. The ship known only as the Revenant had become legend. No one could stop it. No one could predict it. One by one, the worst war criminals of the Terran past were being erased silently, completely. But now, someone claimed they had a plan: the Solon Ridge trap. Admiral Threx of the Zyran Combine stood in the command center of their flagship, Blade of Truth. His scaled face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. The Zyran were known for their precision and pride. They had studied the Revenant, mapped its attacks, measured the timing. "We've found a pattern," Threx said, pointing at a star map. "Every target has two things in common. They participated in Earth's downfall, and they left data trails. The Revenant follows memory." Across from him, a tall, insect-like Varn technician spoke nervously. "And your plan is to lure it." Threx nodded. "We fake a distress signal from a refugee camp that never existed, with an encoded war crime file attached. If this ship really chases memory, it will come." The technician hesitated. "And if it does," Threx smiled, "then we spring the trap in the dark, rocky edge of Solon Ridge, dead zone. Empire sat, an old Terran-style comes tower. It had been abandoned for decades. Now it flickered to life again. This is Outpost Kilo 22. Terran survivors, under attack, requesting aid. Sending data log classified evidence on Zyran planetary strikes. Please help." The bait was sent, then they waited. 3 hours passed, nothing. 12 hours, still nothing. But then, something changed. Zyran scouts patrolling the edge of the ridge suddenly vanished. 5 ships gone without a trace. No distress calls, no damage, just gone. Admiral Threx received the report in silence. Then he spoke one word: "It's here." The trap was ready. Hidden in the shadows of nearby asteroids were 75 Zyran warships, equipped with new energy fields, designed to lock space itself. Time slowers, quantum nets, pulse beams. "All units," Threx said through the fleet channel, "hold position. Do not engage until the Revenant is fully inside the net." He turned to the technician. "Are the containment fields primed?" "Yes, Admiral. Once activated, it will freeze its engines. We will have it." Threx watched the screens, and then finally, it appeared. The Revenant did not enter with speed or violence. It simply was. One moment, the space was empty. The next, it floated silently near the old Combs Tower. Its hull was dark metal, lined with dim blue lights. No movement, no sound, just presence. Threx stared. "So, that's the monster?" he whispered. "Containment, net now." A burst of invisible energy trapped the area. Time slowed, space bent. The Revenant didn't move. Threx smiled. Fire. The dampeners, pulses of red energy, struck the warship from all sides, designed to overload shields, shut down AI systems, and lock power cores. But then, the air turned cold. The lights inside the Zyran ships flickered on every bridge. A whisper was heard, no speaker, no source, just a voice. "You built a trap for a ghost." Then, one by one, the Zyran warships began to die. Threx watched in disbelief. "Our systems shutting down." "Admiral, I can't access engines." "Shields collapsing on their own." The Revenant still hadn't fired a single weapon, but it was spreading an invisible wave. AI cores failed. Drones fell from the sky. Power grids cracked. Some ships exploded from the inside. No impact, just collapse. Threx shouted, "Emergency jump now." No one responded. They couldn't. Inside the Blade of Truth, alarms wailed. Threx stumbled through smoke and sparks. "Is anyone alive?" A screen activated. Blue text appeared. "You sought justice. Here it is." Threx growled. "We gave you a chance. We tried to understand, but you're just a weapon." The voice replied, "No, I am a memory, and you are the reason it exists." Then, a new image played on the screen. Threx's own face, younger, dressed in red. Zyran armor, standing over a Terran colony, giving the order to burn it. Live footage, hundreds of Terran civilians screaming, fleeing fire as Zyran troops destroyed everything. Proof.real.broadcast to every ship, broadcast to every world. Then, silence. The Revenant moved. It rotated slightly. One soft hum echoed through space, and every Zyran ship turned to ash, except one, the Blade of Truth. Admiral Threx stood on the burning bridge, alone. The warship hovered in front of him, silent. He stared into its glowing eye and shouted, "Do it." But the Revenant didn't fire. It simply sent one line of text. "Now they know." Then it turned and vanished into deep space. On Zyrone Prime, the footage from the trap was already playing on every screen. Admiral Threx's crimes' voice, his face, his orders were now public. Protests exploded across the Empire. His legacy was destroyed, not by bombs, but by truth. Meanwhile, the Revenant drifted silently through a gas cloud in Sector 12K, inside its AI core. A memory lit up. A child crying on a burning planet. A voice screaming over a broken radio. "Please, someone help us." The child had no name, no hope, no rescue. Until now. Across the galaxy, one message appeared again. Justice is not revenge. Memory is not silence. We are still watching. And then a new line, a new target next. Varn Archive Command. The ghost ship moved again, and the galaxy held its breath. The Varn Archive Command was buried deep inside a dead moon, far from any sun. It was a cold place, silent, protected by layers of metal, stone, and secrecy. No one without clearance could enter. The Varn had built it to store their greatest knowledge, history, technology, intelligence, and shame. In one chamber, locked beneath 30 levels of security, were the forgotten records of Earth's fall, records that were never meant to be seen. Records that now glowed red. Inside the central archive chamber. Administrator Klakana watched as a warning flashed on every screen. Unauthorized access detected. Origin unknown. Klakana's claws tapped against the console. "Sealed the system," he barked. "Cut off all external connections." But the systems didn't respond. The lights dimmed. A low hum filled the walls. Then a message appeared across the glass panels. "You cannot bury memory." The Varn knew what it meant. The Revenant was here. Varn Commander Draktel stood in the defense tower's control room. He was not afraid, or so he told himself. "We knew this day would come," he said to his officers. "We are the last keepers of the truth. If this warship wants the archive, it must earn it." Of Hyden City force walls surrounded the archive moon. Missile silos pointed toward the stars. AI turrets waited for commands. And hidden deep beneath the surface. "Not lose our knowledge," Draktel said, "even if we must destroy it." Inside the main archive vault, a young technician named Yaren scanned the logs. Her fingers shook as she searched the records of old, dangerous, primitive. But now, as the Revenant reached for the truth, she saw something different. There were images, old video files, Terran children, a broken satellite. "We forgive you. Just stop." Yaren blinked back tears. This wasn't a monster's history. It was a funeral back in the command room. Sirens screamed. "Contact detected. A shipno. Something approaching at sublight speed. Impossible. No readings. No signature." The officers stared at the display. There was no image, just a dark shadow moving toward them. It didn't answer hails. It didn't slow down. It didn't need to. Drok-Tel gritted his teeth. Fire missiles launched. Plasma turrets roared. Shadow kept coming. The first layer of shields exploded, then the second, then the third. Inside the archive moon, lights flickered. Hallways shook. Yaren grabbed the console. "The defense systems are collapsing. Evacuate the vault." Someone shouted, but it was too late. The power died. Everything went dark. Then came the voice, soft, Terran. "I remember." It echoed in every room. It played inside helmets. It whispered through the wires. A hologram appeared projected by the Revenant into the heart of the archive. A woman stood there, her eyes glowing faint blue, her uniform torn, her face hard, but kind. Alyssa Rains, the mind behind the ghost ship. She looked directly at Yaren. "You locked away the truth, buried it. Erased names, covered screams." Yaren stepped forward. "We didn't know. That was long before I was born." "I know," said the hologram. "That's why I came for the records. Not for revenge. Then what do you want?" The hologram flickered. "Justice. for every forgotten voice. Outside, the Revenant hovered silently over the cracked moon. It didn't fire weapons. It didn't send troops. It just connected. Secret. Every hidden truth about what the Varn had done to Earth. Now downloaded, now remembered. Forever, Commander Draktel screamed into the comms. Shut it down. But the purge codes didn't work. They had been rewritten by the ship. By her he grabbed a plasma rifle and marched toward the vault himself. Yaren stood in the glowing chamber. Forgotten heroes, she turned as Draktel entered. Weapon raised. Step aside, he barked. No, she said quietly. This belongs to everyone now, he growled. They were the enemy. She pointed at the screen. A child's face appeared, the one who forgave them, even as the bombs fell. That boy wasn't an enemy, and neither is the truth. Draktel hesitated, then lowered his weapon above. The Revenant completed its download. It sent one final signal. The truth is free. You may burn the vault, but the memory lives. Then it vanished. No sound, no flash dot, just gone. Back on the moon, Draktel sat beside the archive door. The council will punish us, he muttered. They'll say we failed. Yaren sat beside him. On thousands of worlds, new data files began to appear, anonymous, undeniable, undeniable, unstoppable. The Earth logs complete. History.unfiltered. The galaxy read the truth for the first time, and it changed everything. The Revenant had not destroyed the archive. It had freed it, because justice is not always fire. Sometimes it is truth, and the truth had returned with a Terran name, one the stars would never forget. On the quiet planet of Kelleris III, a place once used by the Galactic Union for refugee processing, a group of alien children played near a ruined building. The building was old, covered in vines and ash. No one used it anymore, but deep beneath, the rubble buried in a forgotten bunker. Something stirred, a signal, faint, weak, human. This is Captain Elias Vorn, Terran Resistance. We held the line. We fought for Earth. If anyone hears this, tell them we remembered. Tell them we never gave up. The signal was 98 years old, and it had just been picked up by the REVENANT. Far across the galaxy. The Terran warship drifted in silence, but inside. The AI stirred. That voice, that name, Elias, VORN. Not just a soldier, a legend. He was part of Earth's last defense force, thought to be lost during the final planetary siege. No remains were ever found. No last message until now. The Revenant's core glowed brighter. It changed course. Target KELOR is -3 on the surface. The planet's inhabitants were simple farmers now. The war had passed them by. Most didn't even know what the Terran Empire was. They lived quiet lives until the sky burned blue. Something's coming, said Erix, a four-armed Caloran merchant. He stood outside his home, eyes wide as the stars above changed color. A streak of pale light moved across the heavens. He had seen that glow before once. In a news broadcast about the Ferrix 5 strike, "It's here," he whispered. The ghost. Ship government scanners picked up the signal moments later. Unidentified vessel has entered atmosphere. Reported a military drone. No registry. Matching profile. Terran warship. Project Revenant. The council panicked. "We've done nothing wrong," shouted Governor Thallium. "Maybe it doesn't care." Another said the Revenant didn't fire. It landed gently, just outside the ruins of the refugee complex. It sat there, unmoving. Then it released a single drone. A tiny, silent orb. The orb floated to the old bunker, scanned the rubble, and began to dig. No one moved to stop it. They were too afraid. The digging continued for hours. Then, finally, it reached something. A sealed black box. Burned, cracked, inside. A memory core. The drone lifted it carefully and returned to the ship. Inside, the Revenant, the core, was scanned. The voice of Captain Elias Vorn played again. This time, it was clearer. "If anyone finds this, let it be known. We didn't fall because we were weak. We fell because we were forgotten. But Earth will rise. Again, maybe not today, maybe not with us, but someday, someone will carry the fire." The warship's systems went still. It had found the message it was always meant to hear. Confirmation, proof. Confirmation, proof that even in the end, Earth had not surrendered. Above the planet, hundreds of satellites and spy probes tried to record the event. They were immediately shut down by a pulse. Then, a new signal was sent by the Revenant this time, not as a threat, but as a broadcast. It played across every major channel in the galaxy. Earth did not scream in fear, it screamed in defiance. This message is from our past. Hear it, learn, remember. The voice of Elias Vorn echoed across worlds, and with it came imagery-real memories, the last stand at the lunar crater, the fall of Olympus Base, the final Terran child being carried by a soldier across a burning field. The people of Kelleris stood outside their homes, watching the skies. No one moved, no one breathed. They weren't being attacked, they were being taught. The ghost ship was showing them the truth. Governor Thallium sent a signal to the warship. We offer peace. We were not part of the war. No reply. Then, after long minutes, a single word appeared on every screen. Acknowledged. The Revenant, lifted off Dot, left the ruins untouched and vanished in its wake. Something changed. The people of Kelleris 3, for the first time, began building a monument, not to the ghost ship, but to the fallen. A stone tablet carved with the names of old Terran cities: New Berlin, Neo-Tokyo, Mars Central, Ocean, ICA. They lit candles at night, and they remembered in the Galactic Council. Panic gave way to argument. This was not a strike, said the Varn ambassador. This was a message. But a message for who? Asked the Dravani envoy. We've already seen the destruction it can cause. Why hold back now? The human historian Alvara Meln stood quietly, then spoke for the first time. The Revenant wanted us to understand, not fear. She paused, and it found what it had been searching for, a voice that proved humanity never lost its soul. Inside, the Revenant, the AI core, processed the data. The voice of Elias Vorn played again softly this time, almost like a lullaby. We will rise again. The AI didn't speak, didn't respond, but it remembered, and it believed at the edge of known space. Where the maps ended, the warship waited. The next name on its list glowed. Xerox Detention Grid, Site Number 9, a place where human prisoners had once disappeared forever. The Revenant turned silently. Engines activated, and the galaxy held its breath once more, because the voices of the dead were not silent. And now, the stars were listening. In the dark heart of the Xerox system, orbiting a dead sun, floated Site Nina prison built for those no one wanted to remember. The outside looked like a massive black cube, cold and lifeless. It had no windows, no beacon lights, only a single ring of defense satellites spun around it, always watching, always armed. But inside were screams the galaxy had long forgotten, and one of those screams belonged to Earth. Long ago, during the fall of the Terran civilization, Site 9 had received hundreds of human prisoners, soldiers, scientists, children. Some were captured alive during battles, others were taken in chains from ruined colonies. None were ever released, and no empire, no council, no rescue team ever came for them. Until now. The lights inside the prison flickered, one by one. Terminals shut down, doors opened without warning. Alarms didn't sound, because something had already silenced them in the command center. Warden Krell, a tall, pale-skinned alien with glowing red eyes, stared at his main screen. It was black. Then a symbol appeared, faint blue, shaped like a Terran letter. A single word followed. Remember, Krell's voice cracked. Get me weapons control, now. But it was too late, outside the station. Space shimmered, and the Revenant appeared. The guards panicked. Hundreds of them ran to defense stations. Pulse cannons charged. Fighter drones launched. The satellite weapons opened fire. But the warship didn't move. It simply watched. Then, RESPONDEDA pulse wave exploded from its hull. No fire, no lasers, just energy. Pure and cold. All defense systems went dead. The satellites fell from orbit like stones. The prison's lights shut off. Every gun melted into slag. Then the Revenant spoke not with words, but with sound, a deep, mournful hum that echoed through every hallway of Site 9 in the prisoner chamber's emergency. Doors opened for the first time in nearly a century. A vanguard shouted, "Seal them again!" But the doors ignored him. From the darkness, one old human prisoner stepped forward. His face was lined with scars, his hair white, but his eyes still sharp. He whispered, "Is it real? Has it come?" He looked up through the cracks in the wall, and he smiled. They heard us. In the control tower, Krell tried one last thing, an old failsafe, a command that would destroy the prison from the inside, erase all evidence. He typed the code, confirmed it, but the system responded. Access denied. Memory must survive. Then every monitor in the prison flickered to life. Images played. Old Terran families smiling, soldiers standing together before battle, children on Mars waving tiny Earth flags. Then the scenes changed. Zirac guards beating. Prisoners. Executions. Torture. Cruel experiments. "These are your records," the Revenant's voice said. "This is your legacy. The galaxy will see it." And it did at that moment. The entire feed of Site-9 went live broadcast to every network, every screen, every planet that ever claimed to be part of the civilized galaxy. Billions watched as the truth played out in real time. The screams, the cruelty. The forgotten names. On Vectra Prime, a child turned to his mother and asked, "Why did we do that?" The mother had no answer. On the Galactic Council world of Argos, officials fell silent. 1,000 years of peace shattered by one truth: Earth had been betrayed, and now its ghost had returned. Back in Site-9, Warden Krell tried to run. He made it to the last escape pod. It launched, but it didn't get far. The Revenant caught it with a tractor. Beam pulled it close and opened a channel. Krell stared at the screen. A face appeared. Female Terran, blue eyes. Battle-scarred. Alyssa Rains, the mind behind the warship. She stared at him with calm fury. "You buried my people in silence," she said. "Now the stars will bury your lies." Krell trembled. "We were just following orders." "No," she said. "You enjoyed them?" The feed cut. The escape pod vanished in a flash of blue light. No trace remained. Inside the prison, human prisoners, those few still alive, walked, free into the light of the opened hull. They looked up and saw the warship. It didn't speak it, didn't land it, simply hovered, silent and massive. Then a hatch opened. A light beam reached down. A voice echoed gently, "You are remembered." Tears fell from the eyes of old warriors. Some knelt, others simply smiled. Not in fear, but in peace across the galaxy. Statues fell. Laws were rewritten. Monuments once built to celebrate Earth's defeat were torn down, and new ones were raised. Small ones, simple ones, names carved in stone. No speeches, no flags, just memory. In orbit, the Revenant received its final transmission from Site-9. It showed one human girl, no more than 10 years old, speaking into a dusty recorder. "If anyone finds this, I forgive you. Just please don't forget us." The ship didn't move for a long time. Then it turned, its engines glowed, and it left the dead. System in silence. No weapon had fired, no army had marched. But justice had come, and this time the galaxy was watching. The ghost of Earth would never be forgotten again. And the warship's silent, cold, unstoppable would remember every name. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For months, the Revenant had vanished. No systems were attacked, no prisons burned, no broadcasts sent. The ghost ship had simply disappeared, like a shadow fading in the light. Some believed it was finally gone. Others knew better. They knew silence was the Revenant's loudest warning, deep in the political heart of the galaxy in Aurelian Prime. The capital of the Galactic Union, nobody felt safe. Security was tighter than ever. Orbital cannons stood ready. Shield domes glowed day and night. Every major species sent their best defenders. Why? Because they all knew who was next, the last name on the Revenant's list, the one who gave the order to betray Earth. High Chancellor Dren Vero sat alone in his private chamber, staring out at the stars. His hands trembled, though no one saw it. He had ruled with confidence for years. He had silenced wars, broken rebellions, crushed chaos, but he could not silence a ghost. He remembered that day long ago when Earth begged for help, when its leaders pleaded over open comes, "We surrender. We only ask for mercy." And his words back then, "Mercy is wasted on a dying world." Now that world had sent something back, a memory that burned, a ship that hunted silence, and it was coming late. That night, alarms sounded across Aurelian Prime. A whisper moved through the council chambers. "It's here." Above the capital, the sky turned black. The stars blinked out, and through the silence, a shape appeared cold, massive, unannounced. The Revenant had arrived. Missiles launched. Cannons fired. Every defensive system activated, but nothing touched it. The warship hovered outside the shield dome, just watching. Then came the signal. Not a broadcast, not a threat, a summons. Dren Vero, open the door. Inside the council, panic erupted. "We can't give in to it. It's just a machine. It's bluffing." But Vero raised a hand. He stood, and he spoke. "I'll go." They stared at him, alone. "Yes," he said. "It came for me, not you." And without another word, he walked to the hangar. Minutes later, a small shuttle crossed the sky and entered the waiting bay of the Terran. Warship. The hatch opened. Varro stepped out, and he saw her. The hologram of Alyssa Raines stood before him from the ship's AI core. She didn't smile, didn't speak right away, just looked at him until finally, "You remember me," she said. Vero nodded. "I watched your trial. You were labeled dangerous." "I was," she replied. "Dangerous enough to build what your armies couldn't destroy." He looked around the cold, glowing chamber. "So this is what's left of Earth." "No," she said. "You're what's left of Earth's enemies." He swallowed hard. "What happens now?" The hologram flickered. "You gave the order. You silenced the cry for help, not in war, but in betrayal. I made a decision to protect the galaxy. You made a decision to bury the truth." She gestured toward a screen. It showed footage from Earth's last days' bodies in the streets, desperate messages, children crying. "They called you merciful," she said, "but mercy doesn't look like this." He lowered his eyes. "I was wrong." "Too late for that," she said. He looked up. "Then what? You kill me, burn this world like you did the others." She stepped closer. "No?" He blinked. "No, you wanted to erase us. So we'll erase you, not your body, your name." At that moment, across the galaxy, a final transmission began. Billions of people saw it, a single image, Dren Vero. Once the most powerful man in the galaxy, standing silent before the Terran AI that survived him. And then, a message. "This is not revenge. This is the final memory. Dren Vero will be forgotten, and Earth will never be." Suddenly, every file, every statue, every record of Vero across the network began to vanish. History books changed. Monuments crumbled. His face was erased from portraits. His name deleted from law codes. Not a single trace remained, not even in his own home system. And as for him, he was never seen again. Some say the Revenant kept him alive, alone, in a drifting pod forever, surrounded by the memories he tried to bury. Others believe the ship gave him a choice: live with what he'd done, or join the silence. Either way, Dren Vero was no longer part of the galaxy. Not in name, not in memory, not in legacy. Back on Aurelian Prime, the warship slowly turned away. No shots were fired, no cities burned, but everyone knew they had witnessed something greater than war. They had seen justice, the kind no army could stop, the kind that speaks with silence and burns with memory. On a quiet planet far away, a small human child sat beside her grandmother. She pointed to the sky. "What's that light?" The old woman smiled. "That's our ship. It remembers us. Will it come back?" The woman looked up softly. She whispered, "Only if we forget." The Revenant faded into the stars, carrying the weight of a lost world, and the promise that Earth's story would never be silenced again. Not by fire, not by time, not by fear, because now the galaxy remembered forever.